In a democracy, the people's ballot should determine their leaders. But this is not completely true in Nigeria. Sometimes, the ultimate decision is made by the judiciary, with politicians going in and out of courts to contest electoral victories, slowing down governance. Now, a bill in the National Assembly is seeking to shorten this litigation timeline and ensure that all election-related matters are concluded before elected politicians are sworn in. In this story, Just Nigeria's Mercy Frank talks to experts to understand what this means for Nigeria's electoral system. Take a look.
In Nigeria, the final whistle for election victory sometimes blows in court long after the vote is cast.
Most times, the electorate will say we want A, the court now puts B in power. And that is a very dangerous trend.
In the ideal sense, elections should be decided at the polling units.
When you are in court like that, your opponent, who have a financial war chest, will try to buy the witnesses.
Most times, governance does not begin because most of them are still in court.
Nigeria's story of post-election litigations began in 1979 during the first presidential election under the Second Republic. The then Unity Party of Nigeria's UPN candidate, Obafemi Awolowo, challenged the return of Shehu Shagari, candidate of National Party of Nigeria, NPN. Since then, litigations has surged in almost every election cycle. By 1999, only 2 petitions were filed. But by 2003, the floodgates opened with 560 petitions. Between 1999 and 2023, Nigeria had recorded a staggering 6,840 post-election petitions in just 6 election cycles. 48 years after the first post-election litigation case, one of the youngest lawmakers in Nigeria found herself in the same storm. APC's Rukayat Shitu was just 25 years old in 2023 when she won North Central Nigeria's Kwara State House of Assembly seat for Owode Onire with 7,521 votes, defeating Abdullahi Magaji of the PDP, who polled 6,957 votes. But her victory was dragged to court. A tribunal nullified her election and ordered a rerun in 5 polling units, only for the Court of Appeal to later reverse that decision and affirm her election.
Well, we went through so many ups and downs, which it was true that people get to know and hear about my story. How the journey from getting the party ticket to after getting the party ticket to court, 5 courts, from Ilorin here to Abuja. So part of that, this moment, I would say a part of the toughest time for me during the journey, among others.
Rukayat survived the storm, but not every Nigerian politician has been as fortunate. Isa Aziz has been to the ballot 3 times vying for a seat in southwestern Oyo State House of Assembly. Twice, the fight spilled into the courtroom. The first time, the gavel silenced his victory. It almost did a second time, but the lawmaker credits his dogged persistence for turning the tide.
The person that was eventually removed had spent 6 months in office and eventually some money that I supposed to collect, people from the constituency have been collected, that the person that was removed. And because he's in court, he did not do anything for those people.
Isa's experience mirrors that of some former Nigerian governors. In southeastern Anambra State, Peter Obi only became governor 2 years after his mandate was given to Chris Ngige in 2003. In southwestern Osun State, Olagunsoye Uilola served almost 3 years before the court replaced him with Rauf Aregbesola in 2010. And in 2019, Emeka Ihedioha lasted barely 7 months as governor of southwestern Imo State before the Supreme Court declared Hope Uzodinma duly elected. Across the cadre of government, these are moments where power shifted hands long after the people have spoken through their ballots.
We have the guide, which is the Electoral Act 2022 and the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria that normally guide us. And this has been clearly spelled out on how election will be announced. But nonetheless, we still have some decision that could be taken by the court after the election has been announced. And this will alter the results. And besides that, it could even overturn the result of the election.
But this cycle could change as lawmakers are advancing a constitutional amendment to cut post-election litigation timelines, shift timing rules to the Electoral Act, and make the Court of Appeal the final stop in presidential and governorship disputes.
There won't be 3 layers again for anybody. Like the one for governors now used to be tribunal, appeal, and Supreme Court. We've also made the appeal called the Court of First Instance for the governorship and the president.
In plain terms, the bill cuts the number of days for election cases, makes sure they end before swearing in of elected officials at all levels, and stops the Supreme Court from deciding governorship and presidential disputes.
This bill is also not a bill that says the courts must decide elections. So I think that's people might feel. People might feel like, okay, every election has to go to the tribunal.
Stakeholders worry that the seeming obsession with political litigation by many Nigerian politicians stampedes true democracy.
From our own end, have to deal with the irregularities in collations. If some of staff not handle if they not even engage themselves in proper handling of the ballot papers, of the beavers that is even being used for the conduct of this election, it always poses difficulties.
Voting is one part of democracy. We vote to choose our leader. The bigger part is our ability to engage and hold people accountable. But when these cases go, most of us even forget the promises they made because we've been carried away by the court cases.
We overburden the judiciary with election petition. We overburden it. And we're too little, we go to court virtually. Even those that know that they have lost the election, they want to go and challenge. Most times they are being encouraged by their lawyers who are looking for those cases in order to qualify to be a son. Yes.
For average Nigerians who cast their ballot with hope, only to watch the courts decide if those votes truly count, enough is enough.
I should be the one to declare who should win the election.
That's why democracy is called the government of the people. And the people are supposed to be the determiners of what? Of who win the election.
We are cancelling this one, we are going to court, we are doing this and that. It makes the whole process long.
The moment you swear anyone in the country, before you proceed to the tribunal and all that, yes, the governor or whoever starts drawing salaries. He has aides that you pay.
The bill seeking reduction in election litigation timelines has passed second reading in the lower chamber, with more hurdles ahead. While supporters say this will speed up justice and end the endless wait, critics worry it could shut the door too quickly and deny candidates a fair hearing.
This bill will ensure that Nigerians don't have to be caught in caught mid-air, wondering who their leader really is after elections. Right?
One of the things we would gain if this is achieved is it creates a sense of, number one, some semblance of sanity in our electoral process. It also gives people the opportunity to follow through the process and recover early, but gives an opportunity for citizens to begin the accountability journey early.
We must exhaust all that process before whoever is alleged to have won be probably sworn in. So that again is a more substantive justice than this issue of time. They are complaining about that it will compromise fairness.
The post-election litigation bill could pass or fail, but what is clear is that Nigeria cannot afford another cycle where justice drags behind the people's vote. When the next winner is announced, will the final whistle blow on the election night, or months or years later in the hands of judges? Mercy Frank, Gist Nigeria.